Here we go.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs. At least let me introduce. We're live, I tell you, for the Beacon TVL show. Here with Andrew today. Andrew, how are you, sir?
Yeah, so you were just saying about the Polygon ag layer, Chris?
You know, I was not, but we can certainly talk about Polygon ag layer.
I mean, we don't have to. I thought we were just talking about it. I thought that was what we were talking about.
You know, I'm really excited about it. You know, I think with everything that we've been talking about, with stuff we'll talk about, you know, during the what we've learned section, ag layer could be huge. The ability to have, you know, interoperable transactions across anyone who is plugged into the layer, no matter what blockchain they're on, I think is really interesting. And I'd love to see more of what they're going to bring to us moving forward.
All right, it's not my best. It's not my best cold open attempt. Trying to find like a joke to make about Polygon ag layer, but
it's for everyone. That's not the joke, but that's the cool part. It's for everyone, right?
Okay.
No. Okay.
Seems like people are into layer protocols right now. You know, we got EigenLayer.
Yep.
We got the ag layer.
No, you're right.
The layer, the meta layer.
Well, there's gonna be more of this coming. So you have dimension. We have layers building on top of layers. We have layer 3s coming. Farcast
layer 3s, yes.
Layer 3s, yes.
Yes. Not a meme.
No, it's not a meme. Yeah, it's not a meme at all. We actually had I actually got into some layer 3 on Arbitrum. God, it had to have been 8-9 months ago. That clearly is not going anywhere. At least I don't think it is. I mean, it could. Let's go Pollux. But I you know, it's interesting to see that they're going to be protocols building on top of these established layer 2s as the scalability war continues. And there's different ecosystems, right? You have, you know, layer 2s, the optimistic layer 2s, and their layer, not their layers, but their tech stacks and chains coming online, building on those chain stacks. And that's like the OP stack, Arbitrum stack, even Avalanche has a stack, and Polygon has a stack as well. And then you have these roll-up type of frameworks that are just kind of they're kind of like one-stop shops. Kind of a shout out to the old Mad Meerkat group for having, you know, one-stop shop with all kinds of services built in. But you could have third-party services launching on top of that. So you have Dimension is one, you have EigenLayer, you have Saga. There's a couple different ones that are out there. They're starting to build up, and it's becoming a really crowded space to the point where, you know, you wonder what's going to win. What's it going to take for someone to win and bring, you know, full, you know, large amounts of TVL? And we'll talk.
Maybe they need more layers.
You know, yeah, I think so. I mean, to quote, you know, obviously if we can quote Shrek here, let's not quote Shrek here, but, you know, specifically, you know, life can be full of layers. Speaking of layers, we'd love it if you join our free group. Speaking of layers, this is our fantastic free group TVL at school.com/beacon. We can learn about coming into DeFi, becoming a DeFi investor from the best of the best here in the space. So please join us at TVL. Join the hundreds of others that have already joined and are learning from the tutelage of one Andrew McDowell. Of one Chris Soriano.
Yes, Professor. Yes.
Yes, it'll be good to have you guys there. So, you know, I would like to think that there's a lot of news going on this week. But honestly, it's a little slow. I think a lot of people are kind of holding their breath specifically for the Bitcoin Halving event that's starting next week. Honestly, not really much of an event. You know, let's be, you know, completely honest. They're not going to have it's not like a total solar eclipse where, you know, Mayan pyramids are going to rise from the earth and then suddenly lightning bolts are going to fly across the sky in 1,500 different directions.
I mean, it could. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, so
you're right.
There could be some pyramids.
We'll have to, if you follow us and you know how that goes, you may want to consider looking into your doomsday shelter and seeing if that's going to work well. I don't think that's going to happen personally, but I don't know. What are your plans, Andrew, for the halving that's coming?
My plans, probably going to hide out in the doomsday shelter.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any plans for it. I think it's good. I think as we continue down the evolution of the crypto market, a lot of these events tend to get front ran more. It's going to be interesting to see how this impacts Bitcoin miner behavior after the event, whether kind of things play out as expected, or maybe there's some things that go not as expected. But I mean, there's going to be less Bitcoin being made. There's going to be less Bitcoin being minted. That's cool. ETF inflows, less supply, number go up. That's the theory. That is what everyone believes, and thus is likely to happen. You're muted, Chris.
What I was saying is that regardless, we've topped 200 billion in trading volume, according to data that's been around. I have where are all of my graphics here? Not good. But anyway, the points I wanted to make was that the price of BTC topped over 73K over this run over the last 3 months. When the BTFs came out, it was only at 45. So we're seeing a lot of growth. There's a lot more institutions. DeFi is a lot different right now than where it was at the last halving. So I'm curious to see with all the institutions coming in, what are the robust opportunities for DeFi moving forward. One thing I'm curious about, do you mine Bitcoin at all, Andrew? Did you ever at one point?
No.
Okay. I did a little bit. That was like, it's kind of like a rite of passage when I rebuilt my last machine, my last Windows machine that's sitting here on the ground next to me now, dead. But I was like, I need to get this graphics card up and running. So of course I tried to mine some Bitcoin. Probably not the best thing to do anymore as an at-home miner. For a lot of people, this may be something they want to do if you want to, try and see if you can find some Bitcoin or at least heat your home in the wintertime. I don't see anything really changing other than probably more like, unlike the last, just like if we go back to the last halving event, I do think a lot of operations are a lot more prepared, right? We had over the last 18 months, we've talked about multiple operations being acquired by larger operations, running new farms in more green areas or in higher elevations, for example. I do think that the at-home DIY miner is going to be forced to possibly start joining more mining pools. And I do see a rise. I foresee a rise in mining pools coming up. And these are like websites you can go to, you attach your operation to that, and then they just, you help, strengthen numbers play, and you get a piece of any rewards that come back. Obviously ROI on this is probably going to be pretty small, much smaller than previously, but it's still out there. This report says that most miners are hoping that ROI will break even if Bitcoin hits 79K. I don't see any reason why that probably won't happen, but at the same time, that's something to consider if you are looking to do that. Wisdom Club also put in something really interesting, and this is something I was just about to talk about. I know a lot of people in our mastermind that mine Bitcoin by co-locating their miners, meaning they've taken miners, they've purchased them or they've purchased them at the guidance of a specific farm. I know out here in the Midwest, in Iowa, Nebraska, and other places, there are actual wind farms that are Bitcoin mining locations as well, and people buy hardware based on that to own and have in there to be part of their investment. So I do think there's going to be a rise of that moving forward, specifically, with smaller rewards coming through, and we'll see, what happens. So, speaking of Bitcoin being in the news, we'll talk about Ethena. So Ethena is the stablecoin protocol brought out by Arthur Hayes' group with Dragonfly Capital. One thing that's interesting about this is that they offer an interesting rate that's brought about by two different factors. The first is by staking with ETH validators. It's a very small amount for anyone who's very curious. The rest of it is done by shorting ETH futures in a very interesting hedgy way, if you want to call it that. So it's worked out well. They started out with like 27% specifically on ETH mainnet, and a lot of investors were trying to figure out, how is this going to be sustainable? Well, they've now, in an interesting move, decided to also do cash and carry to mint USDe, which is their stablecoin, using Bitcoin as a backing. And the way they brought this up, and I don't know if this is just, Luna and UST trauma, but when they said they were going to start bringing Bitcoin on as an additional way to scale the network, or rather scale USDe, that was the first thing that I thought of, because obviously that was something that happened back then that at the time sounded super bullish. They're buying a ton of Bitcoin for, to provide a backstop for a depeg event on UST, and they ended up using it, right? So in really wild fashion. With that said, with all the volatility and all of the price action and trading, this actually makes a lot of sense. And it offers, specifically with the market cap of Bitcoin, more opportunity to mint more USDe, which is, I think, probably the true catalyst for this. What do you think about this move, Andrew?
It sounds like they're just diversifying against or beyond the exact same strategy on ETH to that strategy with Bitcoin.
Agreed.
So it's not like they're just building collateral for it. They're just doing this same strategy for owning and hedging.
Yeah, and a little tip, if anybody's looking to get into USDe and you don't want to do it on mainnet, you can actually do this on Mantle. Mantle is a layer 2 blockchain from the Bybit CEX and their DAO. And they actually have on Pendle Finance, they have an amazing farm right now for USDe. It started off at the beginning of the week around 90%. GG got into that. I think the rates come down a little bit to like around 70 something, but still, for a stable coin, single-sided pool, fixed rate for around 70 to 90% is pretty crazy. So you can certainly check
now, when you
that
say
out.
Fixed rate, Chris, what do you mean by fixed rate in this context?
Well, I don't know if I can actually get it, but we'll see if we can get it here. I don't know if it'll actually show it to me, because I'm not on an actual browser that I use for DeFi. But if I can grab Mantle here. See, I can't get this to show on my system. But if I go to the AMM side, it shows here. The fixed APY is at 60, for the fixed yield, it's at 68.41. So just to kind of talk about how Pendle works here very quickly, very high level. It's like a coupon bond. If you go ahead and put in USDe here, and I believe you can swap for USDe through this model with any asset. As long as you hold the money in the USDe pool for maturity date, you are guaranteed to get this rate at that day. You can withdraw at any time. There's no lock, but you do so at market rates. So if the rate for this actually drops, then you're actually better off just holding for the entire 105 days till the 24th of July. So that's where Pendle is kind of really supercharged speculating on yield, which is interesting. And they're basically, giving you a rate based on the speculated yield at a further point in time, much like a coupon bond, or maybe even like a CD. So,
all right, so it actually is fixed.
Yeah,
I missed the Pendle part. That's really what I was asking.
Yeah,
right.
so
Interesting.
and you can
Cool.
do this. You can do this with so the strategy they've said on the Ethena website is you can actually mint the USDe on mainnet, use Stargate's bridge to get it down to Mantle, and then you can pop it in here in Pendle.
Could I short the future yield on Pendle?
Of course you can. That's why Pendle has this AMM model where you can long or short either token, which makes it
can you really short it though? Because like in a way, the fixed APY is like being short on the yield versus being long on the yield.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm wondering, is there like a direct way on the other market? I'll do my own research. I'm getting a little off track here.
That's okay. We'd be expanding things for you for a while. That fixed
yield is probably going to head down.
It should, so right? So that's why getting in early on this,
that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. That would be interesting. And we'll have to do some research on if that's specifically available. Now, this is the AMM side. Again, I can't see it for some reason if I'm on the regular non-AMM side, which is this is the much cleaner, much easier to understand version. But in any case, that's available for Ethena. So it's something to look forward to. If you're interested in Ethena, if you're looking for great stablecoin yields with a team that honestly, some of the brightest minds in all of DeFi. We love talking about Arthur Hayes. We love reading his articles. He has a very interesting take on many things, and I do see a lot of people in our network very bullish on this project. So, adding BTC here to help scale 2.5 to 3x more, even more, possibly depending on what's going on, is going to be really bullish for the protocol. It's going to bring in more TVL. In fact, the TVL on Mantle has jumped thanks to this move. So if you're an M&T holder, disclosure, I'm an M&T holder. Brighter days are ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Brighter days are ahead. Well, speaking of brighter days, we would love it. Andrew, what would we love if you did?
Like the stream.
That's right.
Do it now.
Do it. Click the like button. We'd love for you to do so. All right, we'll go move on. That's a terrible segue.
In fact, if you don't do it, we might block you from the YouTube. So
wow,
you better just do it, guys.
And Andrew's got the beard. Andrew means it. When Andrew has his beard, that is, I mean everything I say. Not that he doesn't always. Not that you don't always, but right now you look very tough.
What are you trying to say about my beard, Chris?
It's a tough beard, man. It looks good on you.
Uh-huh.
I told you this when we were together on the DeFi Zoo, 14 months ago. You came on with a beard that looked amazing, and you shaved it.
I'm glad you're longing my beard, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm longing. I'm not shorting your beard. I'm longing. I'm giga-longing the beard, sir.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, speaking of people giga-longing things, I mean, everybody's been talking about Eigenlayer since last October, really. And the amount of time that's passed, like literally just kind of popped up out of nowhere with liquid restaking to help support Eigenlayer has just been unbelievable. Unbelievable how much the landscape of DeFi has changed just from liquid restaking. Ask Pendle Finance about how liquid restaking has helped their business model, because their TVL has gone way up and way to the right over the last 6 months, thanks to Eigenlayer and liquid restaking. So yesterday they announced the mainnet launch of Eigenlayer as a protocol. It is meant to provide validation services and security, trying to give that type of service for those who need it. Protocols, rather, not people. Protocols that need it through their data availability layer. and other AVSs or active validator services that they have. There are roughly, I mean, these are just the AVSs, but there's going to be more that are available. A lot of people are looking for Ethos. A lot of people are looking for Hyperlane, which is actually an interoperability protocol. Near, we talked about this yesterday, Andrew, about Near building DA services for Eigen. I guess they're just going to have their own active validator service available to all of the downstream L2s that are launching off of EigenLayer. Mantle is one of them. And we're going to see specifically how these start to pop up. EigenDA is live as of yesterday. More of these are the rest of these are still in the last part of testnet. I think they're in whole sky, and hopefully we'll get to see more of these come online in the next couple of months. Well, weeks really, because EigenLayer as a whole was supposed to launch at the end of April. So as of today, the only one that's live is EigenDA, which is, offering consensus, security, all that available to anything downstream. A lot of people have put money in to restaking to earn EigenLayer points. I checked their Discord earlier this morning. Points are still going to continue to flow. If you restake through a third-party provider, such as Renzo, Ether.fi, Kelp, you'll have to go to each community to see exactly what their strategy is right now. With EigenLayer coming live, they're now moving to a network of operators. And operators are they're kind of like validators in Cosmos. So you'll have to delegate your restaked ETH with an operator. More operators are coming online, I guess, every day for the next couple of weeks and months. So you will have the opportunity to redelegate your stake as you need to. And I don't think you have to do anything right now, but you have the option to do so if you so choose. You'll still consider you'll still be accruing points because there's no EigenLayer token launch as of yet. And that's where the points are supposed to be accumulating for, is that you're going to receive a really fat Eigen drop once that happens. We haven't heard anything about a launch for the token as of yet, so continue to restake if you're doing so. If you are looking to unstake, you can do so. Just know that at least on the EigenLayer side, if you restake through their app on eigenlayer.xyz, you have to wait 7 days to unstake in order to withdraw your funds. So just keep that in mind. We should see a lot of movement over this over the next couple of weeks. So really excited for this. Andrew, what do you think about seeing the full modular parts of the blockchain now coming to life, where you can actually outsource having your consensus and just other services out to third-party services instead of just relying on what you normally get from the stack?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to understand it too much from a technical side. I think my concern continues to be like the possibility for risk contamination.
Sure.
I kind of like knowing that I prefer risks to be isolated as much as possible between blockchains. There's a lot more like, now I don't just have to think about the counterparty risk of a chain. I don't have to think about particular protocol or smart contract. I also have to think, okay, are they leveraging this same stack or this same, like the same layer, if you will, and therefore, like, I have exposure to any risks associated with that layer in multiple places.
That's a good point.
So I'm kind of a bear on too much interconnection.
Really?
I guess it's kind of the thing. It's like, but like I love the innovation. I love it's just we have these competing it's a lot like the original trilemma. We have these competing forces. And I think this is like a competition between efficiency through some form of centralization and then decentralization. So at a very high level, I think that's kind of my biggest thought about this stuff is that I find a little spooky.
That's a fair take. I will say the one thing that's not turned on right now for all of the operators that are in the network is slashing. So anyone who's not being honest in terms of what they're validating, what they're providing consensus for, slashing is not on currently, which is a punishment for not being honest, but it's being turned on soon. So I think once that's on, we get more operators in the network. It should be a better system, right? Because I think by outsourcing and diverting all of that traffic, it makes it easier for blockchains, specifically mainnet, to have a clearer path, or at least a cheaper path for batching, or rather for processing and settling payments. So, Celestia, EigenLayer, all these others are promoting the fact that their technology should make things cheaper. And I'm always for that. I think that brings in better retail interest. But I think you're right. You don't know how well EigenLayer is going to perform as a service for other blockchains that are going to be downstream from it moving forward. So, that's something we'll have to look forward to. Like you mentioned, there are more points of failure now that everything has been, that you have this modular setup where you can have your execution layer through one part of the stack, and then your data availability, your consensus or security through another part, or another provider. But I think we'll see. I think time will tell to see, what we have here. We're on the cusp of seeing blockchains that even have a different VM execution layer. So an EVM that uses Solana's VM as the actual execution engine for lightning fast transactions, but still using Ethereum security, using some other type of service for consensus, that type of thing. I think it's interesting to see the hybrid blends of what we're going to see, and I think leads to maybe a future where all of this will just be abstracted away from the user. And you're just going to know it's fast. You're going to know it's just going to be working and decentralized and hopefully secure.
Yes, that last piece.
Secure. Yeah, I guess it is a little important to have something that's secure, right? So,
yep, a little bit.
Just a little bit. We don't need an exploit. And to me, that might be the part that's the scariest. There's right now, there's more than $4 billion restaked in EigenLayer. So I do hope that they're able to perform, they're able to provide a really great service. And I do think that it's going to be a good thing for the ecosystem. We do need competition, we do need innovation, and this is not only from a service perspective, but from an investment perspective. I think there's a future in investing in things like EigenLayer moving forward. I mean, there's a ton of people who are investing in Celestia and seeing the benefits of that. Shout out to anybody who got a Celestine Sloth NFT. You can mint it for 1 TIA, and I guess the floor for them are up about 5K now. So I missed that one. That's okay. I guess we'll wait for the next one. Congrats to you.
Oh, you and your NFTs, Chris.
Well, it's an ROI thing, right? For me, if I can, spend 1 TIA to mint an NFT that looks like a sloth, and then, a week later sell it for, $5,000.
Sure, man.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to worry about the taxes on that later.
Flip you a sloth.
Flip you a sloth. That should be. I can't wait for that to be a bumper sticker. Flip you a sloth. That's great. You guys could have that one for free. Absolutely. All right, we'll move on to other things upon speculation. So, a lot of people, I don't know if you realize this, Andrew, but Fanton is heated back up. I know that a lot of people poo-pooed Phantom for a long time. I mean, I will always have some love. Phantom is back to $1.
In a bull market, sometimes you shouldn't ask why, Chris.
I know. Believe me, I know. I mean, looking at we were in Goblin Town before 2024 on Phantom. Like, it was like hovering around a nickel. And congrats to anybody who's been in it, has been in Phantom, held Phantom. I have a very small bag of Phantom. I have I have fairly decent bags of like Spooky Swap and stuff like that. Anyway, not financial advice. Do your own research. Don't ask us. We're degen. But speaking of meme coins, Andre Cronje, the director of technology, I think is what he is. I think. Came out with something interesting that I just had to laugh at, because I don't know, this, it's kind of a buzz killer. So basically coming out with safer meme coins on Phantom. What this requires, and the good part of this is it solves probably the one problem that all meme coin projects have, and that is marketing. You will get help from the Phantom Foundation by, first of all, if you're a project holder, you have to turn over tokens to the Fanton Foundation on a multi-sig. I don't know if you have to dox yourself. I'm assuming you do not. You get no minting or transfer access, but you do get, I think it's, a bunch of Phantom as incentive in the beginning. Obviously, the risk is the team just sells the tokens and rugs the project. Liquidity gets removed, that type of stuff. But 85% of the tokens after launch go into an FTM token LP through the AMM of their choice. Those of you that remember Andre's first foray into this, that would be Solidly. There will be some type of VE33 LP here at play, or whatever the community decides, I suppose. Trying to eliminate rugs with meme coins, which, of course, obviously we see, dozens of those a week.
So Andre is going to get involved with all of the meme coins that are launching on Phantom.
Well, it's an option for those who want to launch on Phantom if they want the marketing machine behind Phantom Foundation. So imagine just launching a meme coin and then suddenly the blockchain decides, hey, that's a cool project. Let's partner. That's like ultimate lift, right? For a meme coin project. This is a bit different though. In a way, it just kind of takes the fun out of it, right? You're like, because they're controlling every piece of the puzzle here, I guess. And it's great that you probably won't get a rug off of this, most likely, because they're controlling everything. But yeah, I guess it just kind of weaves you into their culture, I suppose. Takes away launch sniping. You can't really snipe well on Phantom anyway, thanks to the way that their system is built. But
this
1% tax.
This is interesting. It also feels just a little niche, but I'm glad Andre's still doing something. I don't know if this is the most productive thing for him to be doing, but I like the Andre that comes up with interesting stuff and is experimenting.
This is definitely an experiment. But we'll see.
This is not as cool as Solidly though. Experiment with the tech. Don't try to,
Yeah, I know. But the Phantom Sonic is coming out very soon, so there's that.
Why should I care, Chris? Tell me why I should care.
Phantom Sonic is supposed to be faster than Solana overall.
All right. So it's fast.
Yeah, it's fast. And a lot of people are bullish about it. Obviously, Solana has, their issues right now. But a lot of people in my network are super excited about Phantom Sonic. And that's probably the main reason why. I think first half. It's been in testnet for a while, but I don't know a whole lot about but I've heard first half. So
next 2 months?
Hopefully.
I see. New token,
But yeah,
same token.
that I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing Phantom might be redeemable. You know, because they have Phantom Opera right now, which I guess is going to be sunset, and then Phantom Sonic becomes the main Phantom chain. The way that
Okay.
they're architected, they can easily do this. They can put any VM in there that they want to work with their distributed ledger and their BFT architecture.
All right, maybe Andre is doing something interesting.
Oh no,
Cool.
he's been doing something interesting. He's been busy since he's come back to Arbitrum after taking a break after the Solidly issue. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Wonder if Chloe will come back.
With who?
Never mind.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear you there. Sorry.
Oh, Chloe.
Oh, Chloe's around.
Yeah,
Chloe's around. Shout out to Chloe Pink Crypto. Hi, Chloe.
all right.
But so we'll go ahead and move on to, that's all we had for our news today. Obviously, there's a lot of news that is going around the Bitcoin halving. So ultimately, we'll see what happens. There's some new one thing I didn't put in the agenda. There's new native bridges coming up to help with liquid staking for Bitcoin. We saw a lot of that at Denver. At least 4 or 5 projects doing liquid staking for Bitcoin. They're all still very early. And of course, we had MotoSwap on a couple weeks ago on our Friday Q&A, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So I do think that there's a future for Bitcoin and DeFi. How it gets there, I don't know, but it looks like based on what I'm seeing right now, it probably is going to be on the Cosmos side, not the EVM side. So we'll see. We'll talk more about that as I get more news. So hopefully we can talk about that soon. In our What We've Learned section, one thing we wanted to talk about, and this is something that Andrew has been talking about, shouting from the high heavens, if you will, with that marvelous beard of his, that Base and Solana are leading the charge into the next part of this cycle. And so far, he's been very right. I mean, Base has been ridiculously good, to the point that, you know, Arrow, which is the leading DEX on Base, that's been going up. Everything's been rising along with Base. Base's TVL has been, you know, skyrocketing. In some cases, even passing Arbitrum. You know, if we look at this this graph from our friends at Grow the Pie, this is the DeFi category comparison from the last 30 days. Base is got a huge, this is transaction count, by the way. ZK Sync era makes sense. A lot of people are farming airdrops, but it's leading Arbitrum by a large amount, nearly double. Also, we were looking at gas fees as well. They've made a staggering amount in gas fees, but that also is because it's been a bit expensive to do transactions on Base. I mean, after EIP 4844, it was very cheap. It was just below Zora. Let me go back here. Yikes. Live demo rug. But in any case, oh, there we go. Base is got pretty fairly cheap median transaction cost at 4 cents, but their overall average transaction cost, because of the execution cost going back to OP, 21 cents. Not as bad as was it $22 that I was going to need to rebalance my Uniswap V3, or rather pay down my extra finance loan from 2 weeks ago. But still, compared to all of the other L2s that are here, it is by far, outside of, well, I'm not really going to talk about Blast. It's by far one of the most expensive L2s that's out there right now. Also speaks to the amount of traffic that's going on there. And Solana, also very famously having transactions fail left and right because of so many protocols, bots, whatever you want to call it, fighting for block space, regardless of the source of traffic. So Andrew just wanted to kind of have you revisit that part of your thesis and where you feel this is moving based on the information we just looked at.
Oh man, I mean, Base has a lot of momentum right now, and there isn't a clear reason why that momentum would slow down. I think that is the main thing. Like there's reasons why Base specifically or Solana specifically or any particular, chain specifically over a longer time horizon, but like right now, it's just there are capital inflows. Capital inflows keep happening, drawing more capital inflows. So why would you be over on, why would you be on optimism right now? It's TVL is down 17% over the last 30 days. Like, why? TVL going down a DeFi chain isn't good. So that's my main thought is you always want to know, you always want to be figuring out, you always want alpha for why TVL is going to a particular chain, or not why. Why doesn't really matter. That TVL is going to go to a particular chain. And right now, like, the clearest indication that TVL is going to go to a chain is that it's currently going there and it has momentum.
Yeah, look at the stablecoin market cap over the last 90 days. I mean, that is significant since the launch of 4844. Actually, since ETH Denver, if you really want to be, clear about it. I mean, look at that. That is a tremendous amount of stablecoin market cap that's rising on Base. And if you're part of our group on either the mastermind or in TVL, then you know that the stablecoin rates on Base have been fantastic all the way around. So,
yep.
Yeah. I will add, with Arbitrum, obviously Arbitrum is established. Base has a lot of catching up to do. I'm sure they will get there. There's just too much going on. They have to fix their traffic problems, obviously, and they're working on that. We talked about that last week. One thing that Arbitrum does have that's kind of like an ace up their sleeve is that they've had this new Arbitrum Stylus initiative as part of their stack, which allows any protocol to come in, not to go too far in the weeds, but they can use any smart contract language to deploy on Arbitrum. That's good for two reasons. One, because Solidity can be a bit clunky. It brings more developers and projects into the space that are not familiar with Solidity, but they are familiar with other languages like Rust, C++, or Go. And the other reason is that because of the way those languages are architected, the execution fees on them are cheaper. So actually, the fees for Arbitrum, as we go back to that same chart, obviously are quite a bit down. And this is something, be nice. Something that was recently, put in with one of their most recent upgrades. So Arbitrum now unbelievably cheap. I will say that my meme coin bags on Arbitrum going up. So to me, that means that there's more investors coming into the space, trying to speculate, playing around with the cheaper fees. I think that's also bullish a bit for Arbitrum. So, we talk about Solana, we talk about Base, we talk about Arbitrum. All great places to farm. We'll see where we go from here.
Yeah, transaction fees have been a bit high on Base, so that's or at least when you look at the average.
Yeah.
Or the Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a whole order of magnitude.
Median's pretty low, but
yeah.
Yeah, I am skeptical about Arbitrum regaining momentum.
It's a fair take.
Because
we'll see.
better tech in kind of like a particular niche area doesn't always matter. What matters for yields is TVL growth.
Agreed.
And it doesn't have it. It is TVL contraction. So they're currently losing. I'm not seeing how they turn that around. I think part of where we are in the evolution of DeFi is it's hard to maintain market share unless you're Ethereum mainnet.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So there's going to be a degree of, shiny object, shiny object around TVL growth. So I don't think, I don't know. I think that there's potentially a tendency for DeFi participants that are new to the space to feel similarly to the trap that I fell into last cycle with Polygon. I've talked about this before in our mastermind. I've talked about how, particularly like when Avalanche was gaining momentum, I did not quite understand why I should care about Avalanche when the yields were still somewhat the same on Polygon, and also Polygon was still cheaper. There was a period of time when Avalanche had a lot of growth where it was actually the transaction fees. I want to say they were over $1 for a period of time. They were just, much higher than Polygon. Well, I really, in retrospect, obviously, I should have rotated all of my capital out of Polygon and onto Avalanche, because Polygon was just, it was starting to lose. And there wasn't really a great thesis for why it would regain TVL in the short term. But I was stubborn. It didn't make sense. And I forgot that why doesn't really matter. And that to a degree, narrative and sentiment matter more than the tech for yields. So Polygon had already kind of shot their shot with incentives. Avalanche had the incentives. Avalanche had the momentum. So why would you still be on Polygon? So it's not apples to apples. Every situation is different. Every cycle, every chain, every kind of dynamic between competition. But that's kind of like my base case, is that staying on Arbitrum is like staying on Polygon when Avalanche and Solana had momentum last cycle.
That's a good take. I will counter with one point. And that is, Arbitrum has done a better job of being easier to get to, right? Because the same thing happened to Avalanche, if you think about it. Avalanche, even Fanton, they lost TVL to Arbitrum and Optimism. So I think that, understanding the capital rotation, which is something we talk about quite a bit, is going to be important for narrative. But right now, like you said, the TVL is clearly flowing to base. The chart
and
shows,
other
the data shows
places,
it,
but just
and other
it's
places.
not, it's flowing away from Arbitrum, right?
It is. So hopefully they can maintain. I mean, looking at this chart, right? Just looking at this specific number here, in the 30 days, you have slow growth, which I guess is fine. But Optimism is down 17.5%, almost 17.5% over 30 days in terms of TVL. So, a lot of 262% with base. That's a huge jump. It's clearly taking traffic from everywhere else. So if you're ever wondering where's the hot ball of money going, this is a fantastic chart to keep inside your back pocket if you're looking to do some research. And thanks to our friends and partners at Grow the Pie for introducing all of this to us. A lot of great numbers out there. I guess a lot of people like to say the numbers never lie, right? So it's all about making sure that you have the facts in front of you to build your edge and refine that edge to where you want to go. Thanks for that take, Andrew. That was a really good point. I almost fell into that same trap as well, but I ended up moving over to, rotating capital over to quite a few blockchains, not just Avalanche. But we'll move on to call for help. So in today's call for help, and the question was a little bit too long for the banner, so I don't have it here, but it's from Darren. The question is, I have an older ledger that I've not used in a long time that I fired back up. felt that I should go and update the firmware. But when I hooked it up to Ledger Live, I got the error that the device was not connected to the computer. Went ahead and reset the device with a new seed phrase, and I still get the same error. Should I get a new ledger? My MetaMask shows that address still has funds. Should I reinstall MetaMask? What should I do? First off, thanks for the message, Darren. We really appreciate it. Again, if you want to have your question featured on our call for help section, feel free to reach out, whether you're on TVL or reach out through us via email. Or here's a comment here on the video. Greatly appreciate that. So here's the thing. These devices, and when I say these devices, I'm talking about a Trezor, I'm talking about a Ledger, talking about, even like a Keystone or something like that. Even your web extension wallet, your software wallet, they're just there to provide one thing for you, and that's authorization on approving transactions. They give you a second factor by providing a hardware piece that you have to use in order to, make a transaction go through. Now, while you generate the seed phrase in an air-gapped manner with one of these devices, meaning you don't have to be connected to the internet to get a seed phrase, the seed phrase is not exclusive to that device. So what you could do is buy another ledger, although we would recommend you buy a Trezor instead, or any other hardware wallet that uses the BIP39 dictionary standard for seed phrase words. And you could recover the seed phrase on that wallet, check to see how it's doing, and then transfer funds to that address or to another address if need be, if you don't want to keep that address anymore. Because again, it's just an address that's out there that has the funds programmed into it. But going back to the device, Ledger makes a good product. I'm not going to say that they don't. But the one thing that I can tell you in my experience with using ledgers is that the USB cables that come with them, in many cases, are complete garbage. It's usually the first point of failure, is really what I was trying to say. I'm not trying to fade them too hard. So I would say check the cable first. For me, when I had my Nano X's cable is fine, but specifically if you have a Nano S, which uses a micro USB cable, it's an older technology. That's definitely one that could have a failing cable, specifically if it's just not being read. Just by the way, it's architected with the small little spring pins and whatnot that are in the end of the plug. So try that first. That's generally, at least for me, what the issue is. With that said, also not necessary to update the firmware on the ledger. Go ahead, Andrew. I know you thought you'd get a thought on that.
Also try a different USB port. Change the cable,
there we go.
Change the port. That'll probably resolve the issue. That's probably it. I'd say 80% certainty. Back to you, Chris.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah, always check, make sure it's a different port. Choose a different device. Try another laptop. Try another desktop. That can take a USB cable just to make sure that the device is powering on and that you can get a connection there through Ledger Live.
This happens fairly often. Like, I want to say it was a couple months ago, one of the USB ports stopped working properly on my PC. And it was the USB port that I had my wireless mouse dongle plugged into. Change that up. Works fine. So it's almost like something that I'll just check without thinking. Like if something isn't working right, swap the cable. Still isn't working right, swap the port. Still isn't working right. Okay, it's probably a different issue, but it's like turning your PC off and on. Like it's like restarting your computer, right? It's something you try before assuming that it's a more complicated problem.
Yes. And in the event that none of those work, you could certainly just look at support. Ledger actually has very good support with regards to documented support. You should be able to find somebody else who has your problem and what they've done. And I think, you've posted this on TVL. Some other people have come up with some other solutions for you. You shouldn't have to reinstall MetaMask. That shouldn't be a part of it because it looks like this is a device only issue. One thing you can do, if you think that's all working fine, it might be, just the version of MetaMask that you have. One other thing I'd probably recommend if you're up for it is to install the desktop version of Rabby. And the reason why is because they actually don't allow you to create a seed phrase wallet inside the application. The only way you can use Rabby's actual interface is to plug in a hardware wallet, or like, I'm not going to say a mobile wallet, but a hardware wallet. So what you can do is you can actually, fire it up, plug in your ledger, and you should be able to get it to connect here. It's very easy. I mean, literally just says plug it in, turn it on, and it connects. That should work. And if it doesn't, then you may have a larger issue on your hands. But yeah, just wanted to bring that up to you as something that you can do. But you shouldn't actually have to update the firmware. In my opinion, we're not recommending anybody update their firmware to the newest version of the firmware that Ledger has. Ledger Live is a different story. In order to use the software, you may have to update the firmware on Ledger Live, or rather the software version, but you shouldn't have to update your actual Ledger firmware. You should be able to use it as a functioning cold storage device, regardless of what version is on there. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. Thanks for that. That's a really good question. A lot of people ask us what to do in that case. And again, if that doesn't work, you can restart your computer. A lot of times that fixes it as well. Andrew said most of the time it's just switching the ports, switching the cable, restarting the computer. These are all things that have helped people on 95% of the occasion, I'd say. Okay, that's all we have for today, guys. Want to thank you all for joining us on a fantastic episode. When you see us next week, we'll be in a post Bitcoin halving event. So, I mean, I guess we'll see what the market looks like next week. I'll be very interested to seeing that. Anything else you want to talk about, Andrew, before we go home?
Stay tuned on TVL. We're going to have a special training on Friday.
There we go. Special training on Friday coming from Andrew himself. And that's a free training. And by the way, if you want to join us, feel free to get the banner back up. School.com/beacon. Feel free to join us. Again, it's completely free. Join the hundreds of others that have already joined and are getting fantastic information that we put out there for free on TVL.
All right. Talk soon, guys.
Have a great Wednesday, everyone. Take care.
Stay bullish.
07. Stay bullish. Beacon's up, banks down. See you later.